I'm deeply committed to building the life I want, and yet I still find myself completely paralyzed by my own self talk. That's the hook I wrote for this video. It is the single hardest part of my own healing journey and just leading of myself. And it gets triggered when I'm stepping into bigger parts of myself, when I'm starting to push my edge, when I'm starting to reach for bigger things. It gets all in there and starts challenging me and starts talking to me and starts basically compressing me and contracting me and holding me back. In this video, I'm going to share with you the most vulnerable, challenging part of my own personal growth journey and how I work with it, how it gets triggered, what's behind it, and really the reality of this being part of my human journey, because it's not something I wanted to admit not that long ago. And it's not because I think I have to be perfect or have all the answers. And I also have this experience of when you've done a lot of work and you focus on yourself and you do that work helping others and powerful people, there does sometimes have this like unconscious belief that, you should have everything sorted, you should be rock solid all the time. And it has been most recently that I've come to real confrontations with myself around this self talk that can get in and sneak in and really start to run me until I see what's happening. My intention in this video is to share openly, honestly, and in raw ways that I hope will support you. There might be some nuggets in here, or you might just feel seen and know that you are not alone on this path. Because if you are somebody, especially if you're a woman over 40, you have probably a powerful life or you inhabit powerful experiences and positions in your life. And being vulnerable is not really easy because the world hasn't really provided that safe space for us. And that ironically can be a trap and keep us from growing. So, I want to share about this because I know it's something that I'm literally in the midst of, and I'm trusting that my willingness to just see it for what it is, that will allow me to stay in a healthy relationship with it and continue to heal it and reprogram, for lack of a better word. On that note, I do have some notes here. I actually called it's like my kryptonite. It's the kryptonite. My self-talk, the fear-based self-talk can absolutely be my kryptonite. And what I've been finding is that this self-talk gets triggered when I'm fearful, when I'm starting to have anxiety and I'm starting to worry. But that's all because of me expanding, me stepping into things that I haven't actually done before fully, me pushing an edge, me like on the verge of more fully claiming that I have in motion and that I've declared I'm going to do and that I'm on this entrepreneur journey. Like it's like so reflective of things I've set in motion, but hadn't quite known I was going to be confronted like this. And I will offer that as it just came to me that my spiritual teachers, one of the things that they all share with us that helps make sense on the different layers that we have a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And of course, there's a whole unconscious. But when we make change on one of those levels, all the other levels are going to attempt to come into cooperation and to balance with that. It's like when somebody releases weight, if they don't do and they just focus on the physical and they don't look at the mental and the emotional work, they will often gain that weight back because the reason why we got to that place in the first place was healing or things that needed to be addressed. So here I am stepping into bigger goals and challenging myself in bigger ways, and I keep kind of hitting these challenges that for me sometimes can look external, but they're really internal. And what was so interesting and humbling for me to acknowledge is that I really didn't realize how powerful it was. I didn't even realize how present it was until I just saw it for what it is. So, as I said, that's how mine gets triggered when I know. And I think that's the case for a lot of us. We hit our own internal ceiling and we're going for the next thing, and all the stuff that's going to support us to hold and take that thing to the next level is going to come forward and talk to us. And that's what's been going on for me. So I have here, I want to share a little bit about what I know is underneath that for me and why, what is one of the main culprits of why I get challenged in this way. And maybe this will support you in some way as well. And that is that like we all have a programming. We have an inner operating system that we are not taught about. We is not part of our education, and it would actually change the world if it was, because if we understood our mental, emotional, our physiology, our biology, if we understood how all those things kind of come to be and how they work together and how they literally form our personality, we would have much more empowered self-led people coming from a place of like insight and education, and not just in all the ways that we either haven't talked about it, don't educate, or over mentalize and then actually never drop into, the deeper levels. And we all have a program. We all have an inner operating system and it's running on programming. So for me, I know for me, mine was scarcity, mine was lack, mine was disappointment. That was an energy that I experienced growing up. There wasn't enough. And it was compounded by being in environments and having friends that all had more than me. And so I continued to consciously and unconsciously build a story about myself in relationship to that. It also drove me and made me ambitious and encouraged me to reach for more and find all these layers. But because I didn't really understand all that then, I also wasn't healing the wounding and the identification of lack and scarcity that was also part of my nervous system. When I step into something that is way bigger than what I've done before, or it just has profound, not just steps, but profound outcomes that could happen and then also impact me in my life, that is scary, and as a result of that, then that self-talk will come in. The doubt, the self-doubt is probably the biggest one that will just come in, and it speaks to me in different ways. And it really is rooted in worry and anxiety. And that's what I witnessed a lot in my mom. I mean, we're very different women in many ways, but I did grow inside her body. And there is a lot of actually research that tells us that the energy of a child is very much derived from the energy of the mother, and what was that feel that you were living within, and how are they vibrating, that impacts the mental health and well-being of a child. I mean, that's what one of the most powerful parts of stepping into becoming our own person and individuating is starting to learn more about what's happening inside of us, because we can't blame our parents and where we came from forever. And our opportunity is to be a fully self-realized, actualized person, and that comes from owning this whole life that you got to have. And how part of that is that we are responsible for ourselves ultimately and our creator. That's what very much resonates for me. I offer that for your consideration. It's just a way that gives me altitude and helps me stay in a place of agency and sovereignty, which is very, very important to me. That's something that I teach and advocate for all the time, because I think it's a place of empowerment that no one can take from you. So, having dreams, but then also walking alongside of that is some idea that it's not going to happen because it hasn't happened. Not because that one particular thing hasn't happened, but like for me, when I grew up with situations or for example, like going to college, no one in my family, I was the first person to go to college, and I was totally out of my depth, and I had no real guidance. We didn't have money, so I didn't have any kind of university or college prep or support or any of that. I was just really relying on the system and I was definitely very industrious And like I said, definitely very ambitious. I wanted to change my circumstances. I wanted something different for myself. I didn't want to have to struggle and worry. And then I had friends that all had parents that were educated. So I gleaned something from that. But then when I go to university, I'm going to a 4-year university that has a quarter system, and I was on financial aid. So every 10 weeks, I was going through financial aid, wondering if I was going to get enough money to go to the next quarter, the next quarter. It made me very ill. It's like I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I wouldn't wish it on any kid either who's trying to figure their life out. So I could feel that right here. Oh my gosh, that was so hard. But my point is that was like that dual experience of attempting to change my circumstances. And in many ways I did, but that doesn't mean that the programming wasn't still there, right? Of like all my friends have no worries. Their parents are paying the tuition directly, they're not even involved. I was paying my own bills. So that perpetuated that, right? It's an interesting thing. So the only way to get out of that is to see it and to start to heal it. And really, it becomes about this reprogramming. So I'm going to get into that in a moment. One of the things I said is identifying one of the core beliefs. Like we all have a couple of like key core beliefs, signature beliefs that are directing our life mostly unconsciously. And I know for me, one that I identified, I would say about maybe 5 to 8 years ago was it's not going to happen for me. Of course, I wanted it to happen for me. Of course, everything I was doing was to try to have it happen for me, but I was still running with this programming. And if I'm not careful, it will sneak back in because that was my experience, right? And the brain will look for evidence of what it already believes it knows, even though it was made up. I think we're equally fascinating and equally like full of opportunity for expansion and reprogramming. So that was mine. Maybe you could identify yours. It can be really helpful. It can definitely empower you because then it's not leading you, you're leading it and or working with it. And so I wanted to share a little bit about how I work with it, but also like in a way like how I got here right now to even create this video because I wouldn't have thought a couple weeks ago I would be sharing this because it isn't something that I was really consciously aware of how much impact it was having on me or to a place that I would honestly disclose it. And not because I don't know. I won't even get into that. That's just me being honest and vulnerable. Identifying it was key. Like just, oh, this is happening. I'm like seeing this every morning, waking up with these thoughts, and they're not helping me. And it's not like I've never had that awareness before. I started having anxiety in 2010. And so I identified when that would happen. I would identify that I would wake up with anxiety and I'd be like, how do I wake up with anxiety? I'm not even thinking anything consciously, but there's a lot that does go on in the subconscious. And so I started seeing that and I did work with that in different ways, but I just wasn't connecting to how it was happening so much right now. And part of that was because I'm walking into a new edge and I'm definitely like on the cliff right now with my life and my business and what's available for me. So it was peaking and identifying it was key. And one of the ways that I really can get into of like, what is this really? Like, what's happening here is through daily pages. And I started doing daily pages again. That's from The Artist's Way. Maybe you know what about that. I encourage you to take a look at it. That book is amazing. It's been around for decades. And it also has this practice of daily pages. And you like start your day with just writing. And I initially it was kind of just I felt like I was just brain dumping and it can vary, but it has become such a power practice for me because if I can allow myself to be honest, I used to not always be honest with what I was writing because I was like, oh, I don't want someone to read this. Like I'm that important that someday somebody's going to read my journal. And by the way, if they do, I'll be gone. Who cares? But the point is like I got past the, holding back that I wasn't even knowing I was doing. And then so much was coming forward. And so once you see it, if you're paying attention, you can't unsee it. And that's what was helping me. Those daily pages were really, really helping me. And then I have here processing it. So having a counselor, sometimes a coach. I've been in grief counseling for a couple of years since my mom passed away, and it's with this amazing practitioner that has helped me in so many ways. And I think that's actually part of our work has helped me become more in real time connected, and the intention. There's a strong intention that I've had because I've been on this entrepreneurial journey, and there's a lot of risks I've been taking, like, spending an emergency fund and being in a place of not earning a certain level of income like I had for so many years because I'm building something. And all of that is very, very real. Being able to process it is really, really important. And I say that because, especially for women, because of how we've been socialized, meaning women are more comfortable verbal processing. So we are able to work things out that way. And if you're doing it in a safe place, meaning if you don't have a counselor, you're talking with somebody that's not spending their time interjecting and telling you how to fix it all. They're able to really hold space for you. And even sometimes just asking, I don't want any advice. I just want to, can you just hear me out for a bit? You have divine awareness and guidance and intelligence. And that's what happens. I find that for me, when I've become when I'm like learning something that I know is about to shift me in some way, it's because I'm talking about it. I'm finding a way to talk about it. It's coming up in every conversation in different ways. But I'm like, oh, you're learning this right now. That's why it keeps coming up. You're integrating this on a deeper level. And since I've noticed that happens, I've started honoring that and allowing it. And I'll even say to somebody, "Oh, I'm clearly learning this right now because I feel like I'm talking about this a lot. So thank you for listening." So that's something that's really, really helpful. You can also do it through journaling. Like even the daily pages could turn into more of that. Or there's something called a self-counseling that's really powerful that I learned in my master's program in spiritual psychology 25 years ago. I don't do enough of those. If you ever want to hear more about those, please let me know and I'll definitely share more in a separate video. But those are ways that I encourage, identifying it, daily pages, and then processing it is going to be really key to help keep yourself connected to what's triggering it, that it's even going on, so that then you can redirect it. So that's the other thing that I have here at the very bottom of this note is interrupt. I have to interrupt it. If I don't interrupt it, I'm just going to get more of the same. And that's sometimes easier said than done. I feel like for me personally, I have used my brain and my intellect and my mind as protection. It has been how when I can understand something, then I can feel safer. I'm sure maybe you relate to this. It's like when I realize that, and I love my mind and my brain, and I love that part of myself, and I'm very much an inquire. I'm very inquisitive and interested because of all of that. I love, love learning. And if we don't drop into the body and the feelings, it just stays there, which means you could just regurgitate it and you don't shift. Like real healing and changing is going to come when we're becoming more aware of how it's living in different parts of ourselves. And that's why all the somatic therapies are really becoming more and more popular because they're a new area that we've brought into mainstream, which is really important and powerful from people like Dr. Gabor Mate or Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, or I believe like Nicole Perla, all of them do like really powerful work, and becoming more aware of how things are living in our body can be really powerful. It just gives us more insight. It helps, depending upon who you are, it can help you, but it also can make you not just become more embodied, but it will help you be more connected to who you are yourself. You'll have a deeper appreciation. You'll feel more sensual. There's so many benefits, but it can be scary at first. So I'm just going to give you that as a forewarning, especially if you don't have a lot of experience doing it. I have a couple more notes here. I'm going to just share a couple practical things that I have used that help me. And I'm going to share one off the bat. And there is something called three principles. I have not been trained with that, but I've been on the receiving end of people, practitioners working with me using that tool. And I used to know more about it at recall, but I don't. But what I will say is this, it's very much a questioning and interrupting thoughts, if you will. It's acknowledging the power that the mind actually really has on how we how we feel and what we believe, and then that can just like recycle itself. So one of the things that was offered to me years ago, that every time I use this, it helps shift me energetically every time. I'm not even aware of it not working. And it's just saying to myself, I am open to a new thought. I am open to a new thought. So when you are spiraling, when you're just stuck somewhere, or like just having, being open to being shifted is really important, even if you don't even know what that means. But you can just say, I'm really open. I'm open right now. I'm opening myself. I am open to a new thought. You can work with your brain to redirect, and you'd be surprised. It's like calling on your masters and teachers of light, your ancestors, those that are here to support you that are invisible, calling that in, your own unconscious, your younger self. I am open to a new thought. That has been a powerful, powerful tool for me. So, along those lines, I have here some different ideas of things that I have used to help me, like mantras, which is somewhat like that, but that to me is more like just a momentary interrupter. Even other mantras of like, I am love, I am peace, or an intention statement that you turn into a mantra. Visualization is super powerful. So that's something I've actually been integrating recently as I move into building this movement that I'm finally claiming. And visualization is going to be a powerful supportive tool for me, because if I don't program my brain to be in what this is and the possibility of it, it will be really easy for like the 3D world and this negative energy and the ego and all the fears that will come up will just keep trying to take me out. So I have to be on the offensive with it. And visualization is one of the most powerful tools that I know works. And then what's related to that is programming. So this is actually, I have a video, I'll pin it below, that I did in the very, very beginning of this channel. So I don't even forgive me on how it lands, but I do talk about programming, and I share part of mine, and I say something every single day. And every now and then I find myself just saying it and I have to go reconnect and go, oh no, let's be with this. Feel this. Sometimes I'll be staring at the mirror at myself and being in this, not just letting it be words, but all those things can help. And the last piece I put here is audios. So there are tons of audios out there. Like Wayne Dyer has some powerful audios. There's so many actually on YouTube now, from everyone from Neville Goddard. People have created ones from him, Joe Dispenza. There's also ones that are not necessarily a known person, but they can just be like these recalibrating audios, or just music and sensory music that helps you drop into your body or just helps you relax so that you can do the visualization, for example. So there are plenty of tools out there, and that's what I'm doing. I'm in the midst of that, and I know that part of being a human being is this unconscious mind that is full of programming, that is living there until it comes to the surface. And I know for me that when I'm starting to become aware of this going on, how I relate with that is like, oh, this is making itself known to me to be addressed, to be healed, to be in conscious relationship with, to not allow it to run me, for me to notice it, to be with it, and to heal it, and not to reject it, because that's the first thing that the ego wants to do. And the ego speaks first and the ego speaks loudest, and it wants to be in its illusion of control. I think we all know is pretty futile. It doesn't really last. So, coming into that place of your own conscious leadership of self can be such a powerful thing. And these are the ways that I have been supporting myself for decades. And sometimes, like this, I become reacquainted with something that I didn't think was really an obstacle for me, and it is. So, and who knows why that happens? I mean, a lot has surfaced for me since my mom passed away, but I'm just sharing some things with you. I hope this has been useful for you and somehow, and that there's some ideas and practices that you could try. If there's something that I missed or something that's has worked for you or is working for you, please do share it. I would love to hear from you. I want this to be a dialogue. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Jennifer. And I am here every day to remind you that your truth is your power. So trust yourself and watch your life transform. Until next time.